Op Red River, waar ik op nummer 803 een curieus boekhandeltje tref. Tenminste, hoop aan te treffen. De boekhandel is in handen van een dichter en uitgever die Foreman heet. Het moet de Brazos boekhandel zijn. En ik ben eigenlijk nieuwsgierig om eens te zien wat hier gaande is. Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you could receive me.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. It's the first time I'm able to visit your bookshop. Last
Okay.
time I was in Austin.
Sure.
Just during a weekend, your bookshop
You
was
caught
closed.
the seminar in translations. And,
Oh, yeah. Well, it was last year, but
Yeah.
at that time I did not yet know your bookshop was here. So that time I missed it, and this time I won't miss it.
Yeah.
I would like to have a look at your books. And
These are a lot of my local writers, Hans. A lot of the local poetry and small press materials.
You have a small press of your own.
Yes, Thorpe Springs Press, and some of our new titles. These are two of our titles here. This is my wife's poetry, and Judy Hogan, a North Carolina poet, that we published.
This is your wife's poetry, Judy?
No, this one, Foster Robertson.
Foster Robertson.
Woodpath. She's done a lot of art history. Bob Bonazzi's magazine Affinities, and Paul Christensen, who couldn't be here today.
I understand Bob Bonazzi is here too, so we
Okay.
would have.
You want to go back and
talk, yeah, we can
sit
have
down and
a
visit?
look at your books a little later on.
Okay, sure.
Hi, Bob. How you doing?
See, here a few minutes ago we were just poets. Now you've made actors out of us.
Yeah.
So Norman Mailer just acted in a film. I don't see why Bob and I can't. No.
Well, let's first have a cigar. I heard both of you are poets. Both of you are editors, maybe in a different way. Paul, you are not only a bookseller, you have your own press, and you are a poet as well. I would propose to have you read one poem first, so we get something of the flavor of your work, and maybe if you want to briefly comment a little on the kind of poetry you are writing, it would be...
I'm a native of Texas, Hans. I grew up in a small town called Granbury, up on the Brazos River, close to Fort Worth. But I went to school in California, studied at UCLA and the University of California, Berkeley. And so I wrote this poem in California, but it's very much out of my childhood growing up in Texas. And it's called Pecans. That's the state nut of Texas, the state tree.
Pecan trees here, I've seen.
Some people call them pecans, pecans.
Pecans,
Pecans,
we don't know that kind of tree, so it's good to
It's
explain.
similar to the hickory nut and the walnut, the black walnut, same family. So pecans in Texas make you a little bit of a pagan because the fruit drops down off the trees. You're still in the Garden of Eden. Pecans. We walked down a red clay road in Texas towards the pecan bottom, toting a tow sack, 2-gallon buckets, and a cane pole, going to frail some pired pecans. We come to halt and listen to squirrels barking up the creek and crows cawing further up the orchard. I wonder, who owns these pecans? Is it the man in town selling insurance with paper deeds locked in the steel vault? Or do they belong to Earth herself, who keeps pushing up pecan sap through the veins that root the tree, then lets the ripe nuts fall to her chest or fill the craws of coons and possums? Certain these two hobos, whose 4 worn-out shoes are sticking to the clay dirt, don't own those pecans. No, sir, I make no bones about it, but I'm sure they'll fill their pockets and tow sack and haul a few on the spot before they mosey on. Caw, caw, caw! Go on, you old crows. Swipe all these pecans and leave old insurance to curse the sky when he comes to gather his crop. Here's clay mud in your eye, old insurance, and sweet native Texas pecans in this old varmint's gut.
Maybe we can just briefly deal with very specific ideas you might have on your own poetry or your own kind of work, or maybe they have a more general value according to what
Okay.
You think about it yourself?
Definitely.
I know it's a very general, it's a
Right.
very difficult question.
Yeah.
You can't say in 2 sentences what you really are doing or dealing
Well,
with.
it's just that my aesthetics has been expanded to the extent that I've learned typesetting and design and book design, and I think the text is influenced by all these other steps in its production. And also, as a publisher and having to become a distributor and promoter of my own books and the books I publish, I've met people that I never would have met. I had a very cynical and, in effect, provincial attitude about Texas. I didn't like Texas. And until I got out there and started showing them the books themselves and began a dialogue, which really sort of feeds the whole discourse here that's been going on. It's really been enlightening for me. And I, you know, I'm traditionally, like I say, very cynical. And,
well, New Yorkers are.
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
But my experience studying at Berkeley really shaped my sensibility, Hans. You know, I studied under a great woman teacher, Josephine Miles, and also the Polish poet Czesław Miłosz was there.
Yes.
And just like Miłosz being in exile there and yet was still deeply rooted in the forest of Poland and Lithuania, you know, he in some sense helped me to return to my roots here in Texas, because those things you know best are what you can really write about. Any poet is always deeply in touch with the earliest memories of their childhood, and that's when your emotional feelings are formed inside. And so just being able to draw on that reservoir of memory and writing out of it. And the Texas landscape and the weather and the trees, the animals influence you a lot. Not just the armadillos, but the cottonwoods, the pecan trees.
Yeah, the pecans.
These rivers.
Yeah, the pecan.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they will stay with you.